Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, a show in which I chat with really cool people about interesting topics to spark, inspire, and motivate personal and professional change. Today's topic is better, faster solutions through creativity and imagination. And this conversation is worth your while if you'd love to learn how to arrive at new, different, and better solutions for solving challenges and meeting your goals. And what we're going to cover is why your current approach to problem solving hasn't worked the way that you thought it would, and why applied imagination is the secret to solutions that work. And finally, we're going to give you three seemingly counterintuitive ways to fire up your imaginations. And these are things that will lead to innovative solutions. So let's start with some introductions. I'm Linda Bucher. I'm a heart-centered master coach and mindset mentor, a transformative speaker, and an author. And if you are excited about making a positive impact in the world and you feel that there's a bigness inside of you that you're meant to share, and you want to do more, be more, and have more joy, more fun, more balance, and more impact, then connect with me, and I will help you unleash your gifts into the world. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Anthony Billoni of Apex Leader Growth. Anthony's an expert in today's topic. So welcome, Anthony. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Linda. I'm so glad to be here, and I really, really love your energy.
Thank you. Thank you. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit more about what you do and who you serve?
Absolutely. I work with individuals, teams, and organizations to help them overcome challenges and ultimately get better faster in anything that they're really trying to do.
That's excellent. Yeah. I think we all want to get better faster. I don't like wasting time. So, yeah. Okay. So that leads us to just jump into our conversation. So, wouldn't it be awesome to be able to arrive at new and different and better solutions for solving your challenges and meeting your goals? And these are solutions that not only meet your criteria, but are more viable and succeed in the marketplace. So, today, Anthony and I will be sharing how to achieve better, faster solutions through creativity and imagination. And so, our first point, and Anthony, I'm going to let you go first. Why isn't the current approach that most people take to problem solving, why doesn't it work the way that they think or hope it would?
I'll lean into a fairly well-known quote from Albert Einstein, who says that the knowledge that one has at the time they realize they have a challenge will not serve them to solve the challenge. And if
Ooh.
you think about that for a moment, you're realizing that if you realize you have a challenge, you obviously don't have the materials or knowledge or experience to solve it, or you would be in the midst of solving it. So the kernel of what Einstein is saying is borne out in a recent article in the New York Times titled, "We Have a Creativity Problem." And what it comes down to is that most people are uncomfortable with change itself, with the
Mm-hmm.
concept of change, with the unknown, with ambiguity, and with their own self-worth, if you will, if you want to go that deep. And it's because no one likes to be judged as not knowing, not, but what I encourage people to do is to get more and more in the frame of not knowing and seeing its value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that you brought that up, because a lot of people are trying to use hard work, their current skill set, solving things the way they've always done it, their habits, the routines, what they've always been doing. And I love that you bring that up because if that were working, they wouldn't have that challenge in the first place. It would already be solved. And so expansion is one of the ways if we're open to expanding our knowledge, if we're open to being like vulnerable in the way that saying I don't know that that's an excellent question, I'm going to try to figure that out. That we can feel very empowered when we're being more open like that. I know people think vulnerability is a weakness, but it's really not. It's a really powerful thing to say I don't know, because when you don't know, then now your brain's like, ooh, but I want to solve this. So I can see that. And
Here's
some
a
people.
here's a good way, Linda, to maybe even reframe in a situation. If you're feeling uncomfortable saying, "I can't tell someone I don't know," when someone says something that you're not sure of, you could just pause a minute, shake your head, and go, "Well, that's interesting." Tell me
Mhm.
more.
Yes, exactly. That's a beautiful way to not even feel so vulnerable because now you're interested instead of dumb, right? So
And
yeah.
that frames back to some great advice that I'd received is that, and not a lot of people answer this correctly because I say, would you rather be curious than right? And a lot of people all lean on right. And the real answer is be curious.
Yeah, I have a similar question in the coaching world. When my clients are really trying to defend how their current thinking is, I say, "Do you want to feel better or do you want to be right? I need to know right now." So yeah, same type of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
it's good.
So maybe sometimes people are trying to be creative, right? They're in their current approach. They might think they're being creative, but what do you think that they are missing? What is the key component that would spark creativity that they why they can't really be as creative as they want to be?
Um, I'd say there's a couple elements, and you could break it down into different levels of awareness and some levels of training.
Mm.
And what I've found in my 30 years of creativity training and experience, and it comes from the source. The people that invented brainstorming were right here in Buffalo, New York. And they started the school that is the first and enduring program of creativity, deliberate creativity training and facilitation in Buffalo at Buffalo State College. And they came up with a process and tools to train in. But what we all found, in addition to having these tools about deliberate creativity, the founder's book, Alex Osborne, his last book was titled Applied Imagination. And what I'm finding
Ah.
is that, to answer your question, Linda, is that the way into being more creative and more effectively creative to get those viable, innovative outcomes is to fire your imagination.
Ah, okay, beautiful. And what a great segue into our second point. Why applied imagination is the secret to solutions that work. So, can you just, identify, like, or maybe define applied imagination? Because I'm not sure most people put those two words together.
Yeah, it's a great thing to play around with and think about. Well, think about your own imagination, and everybody uses it. And when I do sessions, and this is kind of what led me on the track that I'm on now, as far as teaching the process and the whole flow of it, is that I ask people who's a lot creative, a little creative, and not creative at all. And
Mm.
more than 70% think they're either very little creative or not creative at all. And then I say, well, who's got an imagination? And there's usually one person in a crowd of anywhere from 10 to 100 that says they don't have an imagination. So nearly everybody has an imagination. So I say, well, there's the key. Um, Trying to be technically creative, deliberately creative, like turn a button and okay, show up lots of ideas, or deliberately choose solutions. Come on, let's do it. It's hard, and it takes a really good facilitator, one at my level of experience, to engage people in a way that sort of wheels them out of the normal day-to-day habitual thinking processes into more free-form thinking, more outbound thinking, more wild and unusual, and comfort with that. So what I say is that in order for you to be this kind of person on your own, rather than thinking deeply in the creative mindset, I say, well, think kind of lightly and be more gentle with yourself, and flex your imagination more often in ways that, like you said at the beginning, might seem counterintuitive, might seem weird, might seem out of bounds. But the more you do that, the more prone you are to slip into more idea generation, more deliberate choices being made, leading to these creative outputs and creative action plans and innovative solutions.
Mm. So, if what I'm hearing you say is our most innovative solutions come from our imagination, and our imagination leads to creativity, and then you put those two things together, and bam, you've got this innovative solution that's new and different.
you kind of move the, if this were a math test, I wouldn't give you a passing grade on that, but we'll turn it around a bit.
Okay.
You move the elements of the equation around. What you're doing is bringing your imagination energy into there is a deliberate process of creativity that we follow where we realize we have a challenge, a thorny challenge that like Einstein said, you don't know any solutions at the moment. So you want solutions, you need imagination, and it's important to you. So you clarify that problem. What is it we're really solving? You then throw ideas at the beginning of it. You turn that into a beginning solution. You ask some questions to make sure you have a strong solution. And from there, you develop an action plan. So you clarify, ideate, develop, and then implement. But like I said, you start with imagination, bring the imagination into the creativity process that I just shared.
Mm.
And then from the plan of implementation, you start to move toward your innovative, viable solution. And if I showed you a graphic of what our 4-stage process looks like, you'll see arrows around the whole graphic. And it's telling you that it's a cyclical process. It's
Mm-hmm.
not linear. It's not
Right.
that you start at what's the problem and you come out and say, oh, we have a solution. I just waved a magic wand and everything's all better. Well, that's not the way it works. It says the real world has some other beliefs, has some other answers for you, and you may need to be prepared to go back into the creativity and imagination process to answer some unknowns that you couldn't have possibly imagined when you were sitting in your conference room at a retreat center or wherever you happen to be doing your process.
Right. Ah. So I know you have a story about some engineers at General Motors. Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorites. My good friend Roger was working with some people at General Motors, actually here in Buffalo, New York, and they had a problem, a challenge, if you will, of an expensive piece of metal, which was a die that would form a part. And they just could not break this part free from the die, and they literally had to break it every time. And I think it was costing them something like $40,000 or $50,000 a week.
Okay.
And Roger went in and said, well, let's figure out just what the problem is. And as Roger got these engineers and these line workers and these supervisors more and more in the creative mindset, someone just said, well, yeah, it'd be great if I could bring in my wife's spray can of Pam. And they go, well, yeah, this stuff that nonstick pan solution. And they go, oh, well, that the chemical engineers go, the chemicals in that would never work. And then 2 other guys looked at each other and go, huh, okay. And they said, we'll be right back. And they walked out and were gone for an hour and came back with a little spray bottle and some soapy solution of some sort that they put in the spray bottle and they sprayed it on. And don't you know that that was the solution? So,
Right.
and it's one of the key functions of divergent thinking, of not only thinking, leaning into deferring judgment, first of all, not saying, well, because Pam won't work, we can't find a solution. They then thought of some wild and interesting solutions, but they built on that Pam idea and came back with something that would work. And lo and behold, there was their solution, $1.50 can of spray soapy solution.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. And because it really shows the how can we mindset versus
How
the it's
might we? Yeah.
impossible mindset. Yeah. I have a really fun tool that I love to use with my clients. It's called the illegal immoral tool, and it does exactly what you're doing. What you're saying is about, applying your imagination to come up with a solution. And so if someone has a challenge, like, might just be, I don't know how to bring more money into my business, right? So I say, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to throw morals out the window. We don't care if things are legal, and we've got to come up with 10 solutions and each solution has to be either illegal, immoral, or both. So let's go. So now you start getting people like saying, oh, I could prostitute myself. I could sell drugs. I could rob a bank. I could borrow money and never pay it back. And they really come up like, and you got to get to 10 because they get more imaginative as you go on. And
Yeah.
then now we've removed all those fences. We've gotten them out of this box, right? Because now they're just having fun coming up with these really creative solutions. And I'm making a list the whole time. And then when we're done with the list, I say, okay, now we're going to go back through the list of your solutions, and we're going to find a counterpart that is both legal and morally acceptable to you for each solution.
Yeah.
So, I remember I was working with a client who had, she told me during the illegal immoral phase that she had 2 acres of land out back. She's like, I could grow marijuana and sell that. And this was before it was legal all over the place. And so the counterpart legal moral solution for her was, oh, I could lease out that land to a farmer. So see, she never would have found that solution had we not done this imaginative create, like using her
That's
imagination.
and you just showed how the thinking is iterative. And
Mm.
if you create the space, the zone where the funky idea that people laugh at or are embarrassed by lives long enough for someone to take it and turn, being a pot farmer in an illegal situation into letting any farmer come in and buy out my space, and there's the money. What I often ask people when the ideas start to slow down, I go, well, let's hear all the ideas that would get you fired. And
Exactly. I love
you
that.
know,
Same type of question. Beautiful.
sure.
So the last thing we want to touch on is we promised the audience there would be three seemingly counterintuitive ways to actually fire up your imagination and that would lead to innovative solutions. So would you share those with us?
Yeah, I'll preface it just for a second. And you talked about stretching your mindset, and it's been proven. One theory before these new neuroscientists came out in the last 20 years was that your brain is fixed by the time you're heading out of teen years. But we now know that's not true. And a great author, Carol Dweck, has the book about mindset, and has been proven time and again that adults can continue to expand and adjust their mindset in ways that was never thought possible years and years ago. So this isn't limited to the artists, the creative types, the musicians, and this is everybody anywhere can and should, because like I said, everybody I've ever encountered, 99% of them say they have an imagination. What I'm saying is, and relates back to how we live as adults, this metaphor. Picture this image of little kids, 5 years old, 4 years old, walking into kindergarten, and they all have boxes of 64 colored crayons. And when kids leave college, they basically walk out with one blue pen. That's kind of the metaphor of where our imagination sits as we head into adulthood. So these little hacks that I like to play with is play around with these and do them whenever you can. Is first of all, find some time in your world to just wander. And it could be get up from your desk and walk through the halls of your office, or go outside if you're in a nice area. And honestly, studies have shown when you're around nature, things happen in your brain more than you could have ever made possible. And building on the wandering is noticing things, and really get in and notice things that you wouldn't normally notice. And maybe you want to start to get in the habit of making notes of them. And there's where you can always find that iterative solution, is that a note you wrote 3 weeks ago that you're looking at, or it might just pop up in your brain because you never really lose things, and say, yeah, that time I was walking by the canal. In new idea. And the other thing I would encourage you while you're noticing is to excite all 5 of your senses. We tend to always rely on this, and taste, and not, smell, sight, and hear, but really use all five senses, and notice food when you're cooking. Notice what it smells like. Notice the foods that you really like. Why do you like that? Smell your coffee beans before you brew them, or tea just before you drink it. And touch things. Touch things is really surprisingly, sensual in a good way, and surprising. You'll surprise yourself. And finally, at your desk, I would tell people to just doodle. And you're not going to become Picasso. You're not going to become Da Vinci. But one thing that I've seen work is if you pick something on your desk or pick something at home and you sketch it the same thing for 5 days in a row, and maybe make it a little different, or just do it the same way and say, you're not trying to become a better artist. You're trying to use a different language rather than just logic and words. The
Mm,
whole point here, going back to Einstein, is you need to trip the circuit,
mm,
break the circuit of logic, and go out of bounds purposely. That's deliberate creativity.
that's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's a different part of your brain. Um, and I like to say that if we can find our creativity to find the solution, then we can use the logic side to make it happen, put it into
Yes,
action.
and yes, yeah, you do need the logic side. And there's times where you don't need this level of deliberate creativity. But when you do, break free of the logic any way you can. And like you said, I love that you're telling people, go illegal, go immoral. It's just for play.
Yeah,
But we play when you can. Get out and play,
yeah,
and do things that are fun and different, and stop thinking about work.
exactly. Sometimes I know people take a break and they might get on some social media and watch funny animal videos, and it's a really fun tool to do that. I'll have people, and I remember I was just doing this myself one time, and then I've shared it with other people. So state a challenge that you're having, like I can't figure out how to X Y Z, and then watch a funny animal video. So I was watching this animal video where there was a mama bear and she was just kind of laying on her back, and she had three little cubs that were trying to climb into a hammock. And one would climb in and the hammock would flip over and it would fall out. And the other would climb in and flip over and fall out, right? And it had me cracking up. And the mama bear was like, whatever, do your thing. I'm just laying there in the sun. And the mama bear was not swooping in to fix this for them. She was letting them figure it out themselves, but then I would the tool is, what would I tell these baby bears? What's my advice to them? How can I solve their challenge, right? Creatively or logically or whatever, but I'm using a different part of my brain to do it. And so I'm like, well, if two of you hold it, the last one can get on, and then, you know what I mean, right? And what I took out of that when I was looking at that, I was like, I'm trying to do something myself, and I need someone else to kind of hold it for me,
How
right? So I
exciting.
found my solution by watching these bears and me giving the bears the advice. So the solution came from me. I just never would have came to it if I hadn't used a creative method. So it's a really fun creative method to solve a problem as well. But again, bringing in your imagination, bringing in your creativity in a way that seems counterintuitive.
I'm going to build on that actually, Linda, and use your YouTube example. I've told people that when they have a sense of what their challenge is, think of what are the key words in that challenge? Need more, more employees tomorrow. So just type that, go to YouTube and type that in to YouTube's search pane, and just see what comes up. You'd be surprised, and go to the one that seems most counterintuitive on the list. And you might find like HR videos and all sorts of, go to the most unusual oddball thing in that list down the side after you type those words in. You never know what's going to come up and where it's going to lead you. But yeah, your build on just looking at bears is the essence of what I try and get people to do. That's very good.
Right. So, yeah, that's really awesome. So, Anthony, I want to thank you so much for being on Conversations Worth Your While. And is there something that you would like to share with our audience, like something that you can help them with?
Well, I am passionate. My slogan for my organization is my philosophy as well. It's to help people get better faster and to help them to start in the fastest way possible. I offer anybody that's interested to come and bring me their challenge, what they are, what's vexing, what's troubling for them. And I'll talk to them for 45 minutes at no charge.
That's beautiful. And this could be a person who's trying to solve a challenge, like a solopreneur like me, or a larger company with a big team, right?
A leader with a team, the head of an organization with a staff, nonprofits. I've worked with all industries, profit, nonprofit, individuals. Um, I'm, the thing I love about the process that we have, it's not like Six Sigma, it's not like Lean, where it's kind of industry specific. The creative problem solving process um, is kind of agnostic. It's available for pretty much anything. It's scalable. It's really powerful and really life changing once you start to get your imagination all fired up and more freely move into this creative space.
That's beautiful. That's really great. I will put your contact information into the description. And so people will be able to contact you because that is a very generous offer to have you help them move through a challenge in a creative way in 45 minutes. Like, I love that. It's fantastic.
I've done it in 10 or 15 minutes, and people are just like, what just happened?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I love that. That's so, I experience that when I work with individuals, when I coach, and the same thing. Those big aha moments are like, whoa. So it's so
Well,
rewarding for
then we got
me.
to be the tough coach and say, what? Wait. The revelation is one thing. Let's get to the work now.
Yeah, yeah, that is very true. That's more the stuff I do because a lot of people, when if they don't believe that they're creative, that's because they have some beliefs that are in the way of that. Like, I'm not creative. That's a limiting belief right there. And it's going to limit your creativity, which means it's going to limit your problem solving abilities. Coaching is a reductive process. I help people remove the unnecessary so that they can shine their lights and find
Ignore the
all the tools
noise.
that are already within them that they've had all along to be able to solve their challenges and give their gifts to the world.
Yep.
I'm going to wrap it up. I'm Linda Bucher, helping you to lighten your load, unleash that bigness inside of you, and make an impact while living a balanced, rewarding life. And I'd like to thank Anthony Billoni of Apex Leader Growth, as well as you, our audience, for sharing your time with us today. And so please subscribe and remember to check the description where you'll find our contact information and some free tools and resources that we're gifting you. And until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark it ignited.